In 1944, two soldiers left their posts in Calcutta chasing a rumor through the Himalaya. What they found, high in the mists of Kashmir, was a forbidden valley glittering with blue fire.
Hey, glad you're here. Welcome to the Himalayan Journals. Here on this channel, we bring to you real stories from century old field notes. We try to keep it simple and calm here. Think of it as a documented history of the Himalayas from the early 1900s, covering stories of indigenous wisdom, epic expeditions, and groundbreaking science passed on just as they were recorded. Subscribe, zone out, binge.
In August 1944, Richard Dock of Gaines managed to secure 3 weeks of leave from his duties with the U.S. Army in Calcutta. It was not much time, yet he decided to spend it chasing one of the rarest treasures of the Himalaya, the Sapphire mines of Kashmir. There was little reliable information on how to reach them, so he relied on the 1922 edition of Hutchinson's Guide to Dalhousie and Chamba, a few maps, and the library of the Geological Survey of India. He was joined by Captain Robert C. Rice, another officer stationed near Calcutta, who shared the same curiosity and the same leave dates. The two took a train to Pathankot, drove to Dalhousie, and on the 8th of August began their long approach with 2 riding and 2 baggage ponies. The animals turned out too small for their weight, but they helped on the steeper climbs toward Chamba and Alwas. In Chamba, they met Mr. Slattery, the state commissioner and a member of the Himalayan Club. He offered advice, letters of introduction to local headmen, and even lent them the 1936 edition of Hutchinson's Guide, far more detailed than the old one. Without that, Gaines later said, the journey would have been almost impossible. It took them 3 days to reach Alwas, though the guidebook listed 4. From there, they left the ponies behind, for the Sach pass ahead was too rough for any beast except sheep. Coolies were hired to carry their food and gear. The climb to the 14,328-foot pass was slow and exhausting, especially for 2 men used to sea level, but the slopes were carpeted with alpine flowers, and the air, though misty, was fresh and clear. They could not see the 17,000-foot peaks nearby, hidden by clouds, yet the beauty of the mountain carpet stayed with them. At Kilar, they found a large rest house built in 1865, its window panes scratched with names of explorers from decades past. Fresh vegetables were a welcome luxury. The trail to Atholi took another 2 days and several changes of porters, since no group would go beyond the next village. They crossed from Chamba into Kashmir over the Guna or Nala by a fragile rope bridge made of rotted vines, a jula that seemed ready to give way at any moment. But it held long enough for them to cross. Atholi was a disappointment. They had expected a shoemaker and perhaps a hospital, but found only mud huts and sickness. Even the rest house was crumbling, tended by a 10-year-old boy. The next morning, they moved up the Bhutala, a lovely valley lined with holly and walnut trees, where rivers widened into calm pools and broke again into cataracts. They camped at Gashoti, then reached Matsel, headquarters of the Kashmir police, guarding the mines. The Sapphires were the Maharaja's monopoly, and entry required special permission. Lacking this, the 2 officers might have been turned back, until Gaines presented documents from the Geological Survey and his membership in the American Institute of Mining Engineers. Convinced they meant no harm, the chief of police allowed them to proceed under escort. From Matzel, they moved to Sumjam, another post near the mines, then climbed 3 steep miles to Kuti, reaching at dusk. The post stood at 13,500 feet, overlooking Mount Raoul and the great U-shaped valley leading toward the Unasila Pass. Early next morning, with police guards, they climbed to 15,000 feet, where the Sapphire mines spread across a ridge. A jumble of pits and sealed openings no longer worked that year. The old mine, discovered in 1886, had long been exhausted. Newer workings from 1927 had taken its place. Above them stood Black House, the highest police post, where a lone constable kept constant watch for trespassers. Gaines examined the exposed pits, then climbed higher to about 16,000 feet. For a moment, the clouds parted, revealing the distant twin peaks of Nun and Kun before the mist rolled back. On the slopes below, he found small blue fragments of sapphire glinting in the dirt, worthless but beautiful. The police watched every move and made them surrender each piece. When evening came, they returned to Kuti and by night reached Matzel again. With 6 days of leave remaining, they chose to return by the shorter Kishtwar route, 51 miles in 2 days, sleeping at Pias, then on foot to Batote. From there, a bus and train carried them through Jammu and back to Calcutta, 3 days late but content. The brief inspection had shown Gaines how remarkable these deposits were. The sapphires occurred where intrusive pegmatites met bands of pure green actinolite, creating corundum of the brilliant electric blue sought by gem lovers. Nearby pegmatites held quartz, feldspar, tourmaline, and aquamarine. Yet these had scarcely been studied. He noted that many of the surrounding peaks, some rising over 20,000 feet, seemed untouched, and that the trails themselves were among the finest in the Himalaya. The journey of 325 miles in 19 days had tested them both, yet it left him with a quiet conviction that one day, with more time, he would return to these same valleys, climb the peaks he had only admired from afar, and study the strange blue stones of Kashmir again.